Whenever NFL news drops on a Saturday, there's only one thing that you know is for sure, and that's the fact that you guys, Microphone Mafia, is about to get a double upload. So what's going on, everybody? Your boy Microphone back again with some content, and bro, I am very excited for this because I'm going to be honest, I am a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I'm going to give you my emotional thoughts about this situation, and I'm also going to give you the more philosophical and logical analysis of why the Dallas Cowboys would make such a move. Now, before we get to all that, guys, if you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, we are on the grind for 50,000 subscribers. We're almost there. It's only been 2 months since we started making content, and we have absolutely been killing it. So if you could take a moment, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on my notifications, that's getting me closer to fulfilling my dreams. Now, on top of that, if you're a bit of a gamer or you just want to come through and vibe with me and talk sports with me, make sure you're followed on Twitch, and all the rest of my socials are in the description down below. I was just minding my own business. I was actually preparing tomorrow's video at the moment, and I get this text on my phone, and I've been waiting for this news for quite some time. I turned on notifications from Ian Rappaport. I turned on notifications from Adam Schefter, and they both hit me at the same time saying that the Dallas Cowboys are going to sign Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $3 million contract. Now look, I thought a bunch of things when I initially saw this, because on one hand, I was shocked because I felt like this wasn't necessarily the greatest move for Andy Dalton's career. He was generating interest from the New England Patriots. If there was one team that I felt like could take Andy Dalton and make him into a successful quarterback, potentially, it's the New England Patriots. Maybe I believe way too much in Bill Belichick and that entire culture, but I've said this before in my content, and I'll say it again. I'm a huge believer in the culture of a franchise. But the decision that Andy Dalton made just goes to show that he has a little bit different priorities on his hands. So I'm going to get into what I believe Andy Dalton is thinking, why I think Andy Dalton signed this contract, why I think the Dallas Cowboys were interested in bringing in Andy Dalton, and what this means for everybody else. Let's get to Andy Dalton. Bengals fans are very lukewarm when it comes to Andy Dalton. On one hand, he has provided years of very, very average football play, and there's been times where he's been remarkable, and there's been times where he's been very, very frustrating. Mainly in the playoffs, he's had some great teams in the earlier part of his career, and he wasn't really able to capitalize upon that and win multiple games in the playoffs, or even win a single game in the NFL playoffs. So as a result of that, the Bengals are extremely frustrated with him, or Bengals fans are extremely frustrated with him. But for the most part, you have to respect the man's career. He gave the Cincinnati Bengals 8 good years. They weren't the greatest years, but they were decent years. If you look at his statistics for his entire career, he has a completion percentage of 62%. He was able to throw 204 touchdowns to 118 interceptions. So the tale of Andy Dalton's career has always been he's average, but he's not incredible. Now, you could also point a finger to the Cincinnati Bengals. They never officially moved on from him. There's a point where you need to evaluate a quarterback and say, hey, this is not it. But I suppose that they had some success. They were making it to the playoffs in the earlier part of his career. That made it a little bit more difficult to punt on him, until they got so bad that you can't help but take a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. So what Andy Dalton is doing here is, at this point, I feel like he understands who he is. He is going on his age 33 season, and I suppose he is not really out here trying to chase Super Bowl rings and out here trying to be the face of a franchise. I don't know him as a person, but he might not even be the most competitive guy, because when he was asked why Dallas, he mentioned that the number 1 priority for him was to return back home to Dallas. And that's all this signing is. Andy Dalton just wants to go home and be a backup quarterback for a very, very good quarterback in Dak Prescott. Now, on to what the Dallas Cowboys are doing. Bro, we all know the Jones family are the king of mind games. They're very, very aggressive negotiators, and this back and forth, I couldn't help but think, hey, this has something to do with Dak Prescott. This could be Dak Prescott insurance. This could be something that they could bring up in the negotiations with Dak Prescott. And initially, I didn't think it was that, but then I saw this tweet from Ian Rappaport that says, before anyone asks, A Dallas Cowboys source says that this has nothing to do with Dak Prescott. This is just about Dalton wanting to be back in Dallas and the Cowboys wanting a strong option in case of injury. Simple. Well, I really don't know if I fully buy that, because to this day, Dak Prescott has yet to sustain an injury or miss a game for the Dallas Cowboys. Look, I'm not trying to say that this is a horrible signing by any means whatsoever. It's a 1-year, $3 million signing for a player that used to be the starting quarterback for a team that's made it to the playoffs 5 years in a row. If anything, this is probably the best backup in the entire NFL. And if you have an argument against that, please let me know in the comment section down below. But the Cowboys made a great move here. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not sure if this was a move for the Cowboys to use as leverage against Dak Prescott. As a matter of fact, I can't even provide analysis for that. All I could do is bring out something that's fairly apparent to me, and we can discuss it in the comment section. So let me know in the comment section down below, do you think the Cowboys are using Andy Dalton as some sort of leverage in these negotiations with Dak Prescott? I'd like to know. I feel like it's more to do, I would like to believe that it's more to do with the Cowboys just wanting to be as competitive as possible, because they have a phenomenal roster this year. They had a phenomenal roster last year. They've always, for the most part, they've been doing very well assembling a roster of talent. Their problem has always been with the coaching. So I don't really think that this signing is going to be the make or break for a couple of games. Of course, it's very comfortable to have someone to lean on, but if the Cowboys want to be successful, I think the number one guy and the number one X factor that determines the success of the Dallas Cowboys this year is what Mike McCarthy is. I'm not sure who he is. I'm not sure what he is. Of course, we could say that he's the Green Bay Packers version, and there's been all this type of media and propaganda against Mike McCarthy, saying that he's lazy and Aaron Rodgers carried him and he created this toxic culture in the Green Bay Packers locker room, and he got massages in the middle of, practices and skip practices to get massages or something like that. I didn't mean to get into a tangent with Mike McCarthy. At the end of the day, I think that I'm going to choose to take this Andy Dalton signing at face value. The Dallas Cowboys just want a player to lean on in the event something goes wrong. Yes, I'm sure they could bring it up to Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott decides to hold out from his contract, which I really highly doubt he would do because quarterbacks tend to never do that kind of stuff, then yeah, maybe they will lean on Andy Dalton. Well, they will lean on Andy Dalton. But I'll tell you what is apparent. This doesn't look good in the eyes of Dak Prescott. I don't really know him as a person. I don't know his personality. If he's the type of person that blows things like this out of proportion, then this could rub him the wrong way. Imagine being in the midst of a negotiation with your team that wants to make you their franchise quarterback, and then your team goes right ahead and signs another quarterback. I'm not saying it's exactly the same thing. It's not the same thing that the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers at all, because at least in the Cowboys case, the Cowboys got some help for Dak Prescott. They got him CeeDee Lamb in the draft. That's a shiny new Lamborghini for him to throw to, pretty much. That offense looks absolutely stacked. They got him a brand new head coach when he seemed very disgruntled with the head coach. And to be honest, I think Dak Prescott handles his business very properly. You don't hear him complaining much in interviews. He clearly wasn't the biggest fan of Jason Garrett if you just saw his body language and the Dallas Cowboys body language last year, but you never heard it come out of his mouth. So I don't think you'll ever hear Dak Prescott coming out and being very upset about the fact that they signed Andy Dalton. As a matter of fact, I think he would be appreciative that the Cowboys signed Andy Dalton, because Andy Dalton is probably the best type of backup you could have. He's going on to his age 33 season, and he's not going to try to challenge you for your starting quarterback job. He's just going to sit behind you, and hopefully you'll never need to use him. But if you do use him, he may have like a nice 3 to 4 game stretch that could potentially impress another quarterback needy team to bring him along. But at this point of his career, Andy Dalton is no longer a starting caliber quarterback. He's just trying to stay along as a backup quarterback and just stay in the NFL for as long as he possibly can. This is a brilliant signing. I, again, don't understand what the New England Patriots are doing. I figured this would have been prototypical Bill Belichick. I felt like this is probably the most Bill Belichick signing you could make. Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback, the average quarterback throughout his entire career. You bring him to Foxborough, you make him your starter. You have him potentially leading your Patriots to the, I don't want to say Super Bowl, but the NFL playoffs. I felt like that was probably what was most likely to happen. But I'll tell you what also surprised me. The Dallas Cowboys were extremely interested in Cam Newton during the time he was getting drafted, and I would have liked to see them at least check in on Cam Newton as a backup, but I guess Cam Newton still sees himself as a starting quarterback, which I guess it's all perception. Let me know what you guys think about this signing. Aside from that, I'm your boy Microphone, and I'll catch you guys in our next upload.